Tony always trusted his wife, Sarah, until she started snapping her laptop shut every time he entered the room. It was subtle at first. Then came the lies, the missed birthday dinner, and one 3 a.m. phone call that shattered everything. But Tony didn't lose his cool. He played it smart. And when the truth came out, Sarah never saw the ending coming. It started with a laptop. Tony wasn't the paranoid type. He'd been married to Sarah for 8 years, long enough to know when something was off. And lately, she'd developed a new habit, closing her laptop the second he walked into the room. Not a slam, not defensive, just a slick, practice flick, like she was silencing a phone before a meeting. He first noticed it on a Tuesday. He'd come in from the garage, hands still gritty from tuning the carb on his F-150. She was at the kitchen table, fingers flying over the keyboard. The moment she sensed him behind her, the lid dropped. Smooth. Too smooth. "Everything good?" he'd asked casually. "Just work," she'd replied, not even glancing up. It kept happening. Every day. Every room. No matter what she was working on, that screen was down the second he appeared. By the fifth time, it was like an itch behind his eyes he couldn't scratch. Tony finally asked. Not accusatory, just direct. "What's so top secret you gotta shut the thing every time I walk in?" Sarah didn't flinch, just gave him that polite corporate smile she wore during arguments she thought she'd already won. "It's nothing," she said. "Spreadsheets, emails. You wouldn't care. I care because you're hiding it. It's work, Tony. We're in the middle of a rebrand. Tight deadlines. You wouldn't understand." He didn't bite, but he didn't back off either. "I may not do corporate strategy, but I know what it looks like when someone's keeping something from me." That made her pause. Not long, but enough. Then she switched tactics. "You want to read my emails? Go ahead. Knock yourself out." He shook his head. "This isn't about reading your inbox. It's about trust. And right now, feels like that door is shut tighter than your laptop." She stood, took the laptop, and walked upstairs without another word. He let her go, for the moment. But it didn't stop there. A few nights later, he asked her to watch a movie. She said she was buried in work. He offered to cook dinner. She waved him off, already ate with the girls. Every attempt he made to connect was met with a wall, and behind that wall he could feel something moving, something cold. Still, Tony gave her the benefit of the doubt. Stress maybe, burnout. The marketing world was cutthroat. She'd told him that often enough. But then came her birthday. Sarah turned 34 that week. Tony went all in. He remembered the little coffee shop downtown, the bean counter, where they used to spend hours during the early days. She loved the tiramisu there. He bought her a necklace, simple and thoughtful, wrapped it himself, even grabbed a helium balloon because he knew she'd roll her eyes and laugh. He texted her that morning. "Meet me at the bean counter at 6. Got a surprise for you." No reply. By 4 p.m., he was dealing with a botched concrete pour on site when his phone finally buzzed. "Sorry, out with the girls tonight. Can we do it later?" That was it. No emoji, no happy birthday to me. Just a brush off. He called her. She answered like nothing was wrong. "I just need a night out," she said, laughing with someone in the background. "Don't make this a thing." "I planned something, Sarah. We'll do it tomorrow." He hung up, but he went anyway. Sat in their old booth. The balloon floated above the table like a joke. The tiramisu sat untouched. A young waiter asked if he was waiting on someone. Tony nodded. "My wife," he said. "But don't worry, she's not coming." The kid offered to box up the dessert. Tony gave it to him instead. "Take it," he said. "I'm not in the mood." He drove home in silence. The necklace went into a drawer. The balloon sagged in the corner by morning. Still, he didn't say anything. He didn't blow up. He didn't accuse. He watched. And waiting turned out to be the smartest move he'd ever made. A week after the birthday debacle, Tony met up with Mike at Murphy's Bar. Mike was one of the few people Tony trusted. Ex-Marine, sharp-eyed, low drama. They were shooting pool and nursing beers when Lisa walked in, Sarah's friend from HR. Lisa spotted them and made a beeline over, heels tapping on the worn floor, smile too bright to be honest. "Tony, didn't expect to see you here," she said, leaning against the table like they were old buddies. "Where's Sarah?" Tony asked, cue in hand. "Haven't seen her around much." Lisa blinked. You know how she is, swamped with the rebrand. We've all been pulling late nights. Tony lined up a shot and sank it. Yeah, must be nice to have energy for late night drinks and networking. Meanwhile, I'm eating solo most nights. Lisa's smile flickered just for a second. She's just trying to juggle everything. That project's a beast. You mean the one that takes her out till midnight with coworkers? Tony didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Lisa hesitated. She's trying her best. Maybe you two should talk more. Mike, silent up until then, took a long sip of his beer. Saw her last night at the Rusty Anchor, he said. She didn't look stressed. Looked real cozy with some guy in a suit. Lisa froze. Color drained from her face. Tony didn't move. Anyone I know? Didn't catch a name, Mike replied. Corner booth, hand on his arm. Looked familiar. Lisa stammered, trying to recover. It's not what it looked like. She's just friendly. Networking. That's all. Tony turned to her. If it's nothing, why lie about where she is? And why are you sweating just talking about it? Lisa backed off, muttered something about getting a drink, and disappeared into the crowd. Mike watched her go. She knows. Probably been covering for her. Tony nodded. They all know. A few days later came the company barbecue. Sarah insisted Tony come this time. It's important for appearances, she'd said. He went. Not for appearances, but to see how she acted when she didn't think he was watching. It was everything he expected. Sarah moved through the crowd like a politician at a rally, laughing, joking, touching arms, leaning in close. Tony stood by the grill talking to Dave, one of her coworkers. Solid guy, grounded. Tony kept it casual. She always this popular? Dave chuckled. Sarah? Yeah, she's the face of the whole brand right now. Management loves her. Tony sipped his beer. Must be exhausting, being everyone's favorite. Sarah walked up mid-conversation, holding a hard seltzer. Tony, don't bore poor Dave with construction talk, she teased. He doesn't want to hear about cement and pipes. Tony gave her a look. Just talking about actual work, not finger foods and office gossip. Sarah laughed, but it didn't reach her eyes. See what I deal with, Dave? He's always so serious. Dave smiled awkwardly, unsure which side to take. Construction's no joke. Tough work. Tony nodded. Exactly. Someone's got to keep the lights on while the rest of you network. Sarah's smile stiffened. Oh, come on. You'd rather be under your truck than talk to people anyway, right? A few nearby coworkers chuckled. Tony didn't. I'd rather be under my truck than fake my way through a room full of people pretending they're not sleeping with each other's coworkers. The laughter stopped. Dave excused himself quickly. Sarah's expression tightened. What is your problem tonight? My problem? I'm a prop in your little charade. You don't want a husband, you want background noise. She stepped closer, her voice low and dangerous. Keep your voice down. Tony didn't flinch. Why? Embarrassing you in front of your work buddies? I'm not the one playing house with someone from accounting. Enough, she snapped, still smiling for the crowd. You're being paranoid. Am I? Maybe I should ask Mike, or Lisa, or better yet, the guy from the Rusty Anchor. She stormed off. Tony left 15 minutes later without saying another word. No goodbye, no fake smiles, just keys, truck, and silence. A week passed. The distance between them turned into a canyon. She came home late, left early. Conversations became one-word check-ins. Tony didn't argue. He just watched. Then came the call. It was 2:45 a.m. He just picked up his laptop from Tom, his brother-in-law, married to Sarah's sister, Jin. Tom had wiped the hard drive and reinstalled everything. They chatted in the garage while Jin stepped outside in her robe, yawning. Tony's phone buzzed. Sarah. Hey, he answered, casual. What's up? Her voice was sleepy, low. Just wanted to say, I'm at Jin's, crashed here. Don't wait up. Tony didn't respond right away. Just glanced at Jin, standing 10 feet away. Say that again? I'm at Jin's, why? Jin's eyebrows furrowed. Tony, she said slowly, I haven't seen Sarah in weeks. Tom stopped mid-sip, now fully alert. Tony ended the call. No emotion, no yelling. She's not here, Jin said, stunned. Why would she lie about that? I think we both know why, Tony replied. No yelling, No confrontation. He thanked Tom, nodded to Jin, and drove home. By the time he pulled into the driveway, his mind was made up. The next chapter wouldn't be a fight. It would be freedom. Tony got home just after 3 a.m., pulled into the driveway, and shut off the engine. The cab was silent. His mind wasn't. The lie wasn't even clever. She hadn't slipped up. She'd made a choice, trusted that he wouldn't follow up. She thought she had him too trained, too tired, too quiet. But tonight proved otherwise. He went inside, took a trash bag from under the sink, and started gathering. Her skincare bottles, the drawer full of chargers and random junk, the gym bag she hadn't touched in months. He moved mechanically without emotion. Clothes into boxes, makeup into plastic tubs. Jewelry, shoes, all of it, neatly stacked by the front door. Her house keys were on the counter. He pocketed them. At 7 a.m., Sarah walked through the door like nothing happened. Hoodie up, phone in hand, keys jingling. She didn't notice him at first. Then she saw the boxes. She froze. Tony was leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, expression blank. "Rough night at Jin's?" he asked calmly. Sarah blinked, then went for casual. "Yeah, total chaos. Kids screaming. Tom up all night working. I barely slept." Tony didn't move. "Funny, because I was at Jin's at 3 in the morning, picking up my laptop. You know, the one Tom fixed. Jin was there. So was Tom, standing 10 feet away when you called me." Her face lost color. She started, but Tony raised a hand. "She heard you say you were at her place, and she hasn't seen you in 2 weeks." Silence. "I meant to go there," Sarah said finally, "but plans changed. I went to Laura's. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd get mad." "Laura," Tony repeated. "So you lied to avoid an argument. Makes sense if you're guilty." "I wasn't thinking." "No," Tony cut in. "You were thinking. You just thought I wouldn't check. You've been hiding, dodging, gaslighting. This wasn't a mistake. It was a pattern." She sat on the stairs, shaking slightly. "It was one night." Tony stepped forward. "It's never just one night. It's every time you shut the laptop, every canceled dinner, every excuse. You've been somewhere else for months, and now you're just caught." Tears welled up. Her voice softened. "We've been together 8 years. Don't throw that away over one bad decision." He walked to the door, picked up the largest box, and set it beside her. "This isn't about one night. It's about you thinking you can lie and still have me waiting here like nothing happened." "You're serious?" she asked. "You're kicking me out?" Tony nodded slowly. "Cab's already on the way." She stood, reached for his arm. "Tony, please, we can fix this. I was just stressed. I didn't mean to hurt you." He pulled away. "You didn't just hurt me. You disrespected everything we built. You looked me in the eye and lied." Her voice hardened. "So that's it? You're just done?" "You threw us out a long time ago," he said. "I'm just cleaning up the mess." The cab pulled into the driveway. Tony opened the door, handed her the keys to the house. "They don't work anymore," he said. "Locksmith's coming today." She grabbed the box, muttering under her breath, still trying to salvage control. "You'll regret this," she said, stepping out the door. Tony didn't answer. He shut the door behind her and locked it. By noon, the deadbolt was changed. By 3 p.m., he was on the phone with a lawyer. Divorce papers were drafted that same week. The house, the vehicles, and the savings. Tony had covered his bases years ago. Everything was in his name. Sarah had nothing to fight with. She knew it. She tried, though. Texted, called, showed up once crying on the porch. Tony didn't open the door. Her mom called too, but even she didn't push. She knew. Everyone knew. Tony didn't talk much about it. Not to Mike, not to Tom, not even to Jin. But word got around fast. Sarah had burned bridges all over town. Work friends kept their distance. Lisa stopped showing up at Murphy's. Even Laura went quiet. By the end of the week, Tony's house was quiet again. No more slammed laptop lids, no more excuses, no more pretending. He sat in his garage, a beer in hand, the radio low. Mike showed up that night with pizza, said nothing. Just watched the game with him. The kind of presence you don't have to explain. Tony didn't say much either. He didn't need to. The message was already sent. Sarah was gone. And he wasn't chasing her. The first week after Sarah left was quiet, eerily quiet. Tony didn't realize how much mental space she had taken up until she was gone. No more waiting for her to come home. No more guessing games. No more running over conversations in his head trying to figure out what he'd done wrong. He wasn't angry. Not anymore. Just done. The divorce process moved fast. The lawyer he'd called was efficient. Tony had kept most of the assets in his name over the years, just a habit from growing up with little. Sarah never seemed to care when things were going well. Now it meant she had no leverage. She tried to stall. First, she asked to talk, claimed she didn't want lawyers involved, that they could work something out. Tony refused. Then came the emotional text. Can we at least have dinner? Just talk? I miss you. We were good once. He didn't reply. A few days later, she showed up. No warning. Just knocked on the door around 8 p.m. Tony didn't open it. He watched from the front window as she stood there, arms folded, face tense. She knocked again. When that failed, she sat on the porch step for a while. Eventually, she left. The next day, her mother called. She sounded tired, like someone who'd been dragged into something she didn't want to be part of. She told me everything, she said. Well, her version. But honestly, Tony, I'm not surprised. I warned her once. Told her not to take you for granted. I appreciate the call, Tony said. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate, she added. Sarah had burned more than her marriage. Her work friends started fading away too. Word got out fast. Small town, big mouths. Nobody liked being close to drama, and Sarah had brought plenty. Lisa stopped showing up at group events. Laura's name stopped popping up entirely. It was like everyone realized the show was over, and the lead actress had flopped. Tony didn't gloat. He didn't share the story with anyone except those already in the loop. But he didn't shield Sarah from the fallout either. She made her choices. Now she was living with them. 3 weeks after she left, Jin called. She's staying with Laura, Jin said. Barely speaking. Not going into work. Looks awful. Tony just nodded. Thanks for the update. I'm not calling for her, Jin added quickly. I just wanted you to know you made the right call. We all saw it. We just didn't say anything. I saw it too, Tony said. Just took longer to admit it. The divorce papers were signed by the end of the month. No court battles, no negotiations. Sarah didn't have the footing to fight. She left with her clothes, her laptop, and a few personal things. Tony kept everything else. By then, his house was no longer just a building full of bad memories. He'd rearranged the furniture, cleaned out the closets, changed the locks. His routine got sharper. He started hitting the gym with Mike again, even joined a weekend motorcycle group. Not because he was running from anything, but because he finally had space to do things for himself. He slept better, ate better, laughed more, and the biggest difference? He no longer second-guessed himself every time his phone buzzed. Sarah, meanwhile, tried one last time. About 6 weeks after she moved out, she emailed him. A long message. Apologies, explanations, guilt, nostalgia. Tony didn't respond. He forwarded the email to his lawyer, just in case. Then he deleted it. No ceremony, no final words. Just gone. A few days later, he saw her at the grocery store. She was standing in the cereal aisle, staring at a box like it might explain how her life had fallen apart. When she turned and saw him, her mouth opened, probably to say something rehearsed. But Tony didn't give her the chance. He nodded once. Not cold, not angry. Just done. Then he walked past her, grabbed a loaf of bread, and kept going. Sarah never followed. 3 months had passed since Sarah walked out of Tony's house for the last time. The divorce was finalized. No appeals, no sudden change of heart. Just paperwork and signatures, clean and irreversible. Tony's life didn't suddenly turn into a highlight reel, but it did get real and peaceful. He still worked long days managing construction projects, still drove the same truck, still ate the same bacon and eggs breakfast every morning, but everything around him felt lighter. No more tension waiting at the door. No more double-checking if what she said lined up with reality. No more looking over his shoulder. He learned quickly that peace doesn't come from trying to keep someone who doesn't want to be kept. It comes from letting go before you lose yourself trying to fix what someone else broke. Mike stayed close, more like a brother than a friend. They didn't talk about Sarah anymore. Didn't need to. Instead, they talked football, cracked beers after long shifts, and once a week hit the trails with the local riding group. Tony bought himself a used Harley with some savings he'd been sitting on for years. A gift to himself for surviving. Tom and Jen invited him over for dinner twice a month. They didn't pity him, they respected him. Jen especially had been vocal. "You did the right thing," she said once over dinner. "No one deserves to be lied to in their own home." Tony nodded. "She could have told me the truth, even if it hurt, but she chose the easy lie." "Cowards always do," Tom added. Tony wasn't bitter. He didn't drag Sarah's name through the mud, didn't post online, didn't warn her next boyfriend. He didn't need revenge. The truth did its own damage. He'd learned something important. Sometimes the best form of justice is simply walking away and letting someone sit in the consequences they created. Sarah's world shrank quickly after the divorce. The job that once gave her power turned cold. According to a mutual contact, her performance dipped. She stopped showing up for meetings. Management reassigned her to a lesser role. She quit 2 months later. No big send-off, no farewell party, just disappeared from the company's Slack channel. Word was Laura kicked her out not long after. Apparently, Sarah had been treating Laura the same way she treated Tony, taking more than she gave, lying when things got uncomfortable, expecting others to cover for her. Eventually, even Laura stopped defending her. By the time Tony saw her at the grocery store that day, she looked like someone who had been running in circles, trying to outrun the truth. She had no idea the damage she'd done until the fallout started landing everywhere except where she expected. And when she saw Tony walk past her without a word, that was probably the first time she realized he wasn't mad anymore. He was free. Tony didn't need her apology, didn't want closure. He already had it. Closure was waking up in the morning and not feeling the weight of suspicion. Closure was having a beer with friends without wondering if his wife was lying about where she was. Closure was realizing he didn't fail. He just finally stopped accepting less than he deserved. He kept the house but repainted the bedroom and turned the office into a home gym. Got rid of the couch she insisted on keeping. Donated the decor she'd picked out during her Pinterest phase. The place felt like him again. On weekends, he grilled with Mike and a few of the guys. Nothing fancy, just burgers, beers, music, and no drama. One of the newer guys in the riding group asked if Tony was seeing anyone. Tony shrugged. "Not yet," he said. "Not rushing it." He wasn't afraid of love. He just wasn't chasing it with the same blind optimism. Next time it'd be with someone who didn't treat loyalty like a weakness. He knew what real commitment looked like now. And more importantly, he knew what it didn't. Tony never planned on being single again in his 30s. But he also never planned on being lied to by the person he trusted most. Life throws curveballs. The only thing that matters is how you swing back. The last time Sarah texted him, it was a single sentence. "Do you ever think about us?" He didn't reply. Some memories don't deserve space, and some people, no matter how long you were with them, don't deserve a second chance.